Welcome back to Scorecard here on Citi TV. I, Jamie Ta and Susu Graham, my gentlemen in the studio. Gentlemen, good evening.
Good evening, Ben.
Good to have you. Let's get right into it. Time already gone already. Let's get into the Under-23 AFCON. First of all, Ghana, of course, are playing its first game. Very interesting game. Looked like a comfortable win, and then it became really nerve-wracking. Let me start off with you. From pulled out players to a good preparation to the tournament itself starting nervy first game. What have you made of it all?
I think it was a very interesting first game. I think if you look at the way the game progressed, you have to say Ibrahim Tanko might have gotten starting lineup wrong. Because when he made those changes, especially Emmanuel Yeboah coming off the bench, he kind of changed the game. His impact, he was basically involved in all three goals, if I'm correct. So he came in and kind of changed the game. 2 goals and delivered exactly. So he kind of came in and changed the game. And you're wondering why he didn't start, if this was the kind of impact he was going to have. Barney struggled to really make an impact.
I have seen people ripping Barney apart in social.
No, it's understandable because he's one of the more well-known players to the Ghanaian public. So there's big expectations because he's one of the
he's captained the team as well on a number of occasions.
He's one of the few players who has Black Stars experience. I think if you look at him and Fatal, they are the players who have been in multiple Black Stars squad. And Nyama is now also
just joining.
So these are you are one of the more experienced players in the squad. So the team is looking to you, and if on the day you don't kind of show up, it's disappointing. But look, we did well to get 3 goals. We even missed a penalty, so it could have even been more. But then those 2 quick goals we conceded was a bit sloppy, and that's something it's something we have to think about because it wasn't good enough to concede 2 quick goals like that. But at the same time, you would think that considering the first half we had and how much better Congo were in the first half than us before the changes, a 3-0 scoreline would have flattered us a tiny bit. So I think overall, 3-2 is it looks closer to what the actual game was, but we shouldn't have considered those 2 goals. I think it's one of those things. The scoreline reflects the game in a way, but those 2 goals were very unnecessary to concede.
I can side with you on that because I feel like the first half, Danlad kept Ghana in the game. Congo had a lot of good opportunities. They could easily have scored in that first half, but let me get to the highlights of that particular one. Let's check out the highlights. We'll come back in studio and then we'll continue discussing this particular one. Ghana won the game by 3 goals to 2 against Congo. So very interesting game. By the 83rd minute, Ghana were up by 3 goals to 0, and then we conceded 2 goals in the space of what, 2 minutes, a minute?
I think both were even in added time.
Yeah. Very, very interesting. Yeah. Tanko, again, looks like he got his game management right. Yeah. Selection was not that great. What lessons does he take out of this game?
First, working on the concentration, the level of concentration from the players, because if you're up by 3 goals
from
to 0,
senior level to junior level.
Exactly, and he has to work on that concentration bit. And on top of that, he has to get his front line right. Yes, you would want to have Barnier in the starting lineup because he's the captain. He scored crucial goals in the qualification phase, but it's clear that he's off color because one thing that Barnier does so well, one thing that is regarded as a strength of Barnier's game is the fact that he's a willing runner, he's a strong runner, especially off the ball. Once the ball is within that penalty vicinity, he's always around the ball some way, somehow. But in this game, especially in the first half, you had Ernest Nyama consistently crossing the ball across the face of goal, and there was no runner moving at the back post to be able to connect to that ball. And he got substituted in the second half. Emmanuel Yeboah came in, and he was the one who delivered that pass across the face of goal. And Ernest Nyama, who occupied that position, who had been moved to the wider area, was the one who ended up connecting to that pass. And so for me, those are the things that he will need to work on in the second game because he will be taking on the host nation Morocco. And looking at the kind of testing weather we had to deal with in this game because it was 34 degrees. And it showed. The guys, you could tell that the guys were lacking a bit physically. And we have just 2 days to recover for that Morocco game. Mind you, they played yesterday, and so they've had a full day to recover, and so we'll need to get a good start. We can't start slow as we did against Congo earlier today.
Interesting thoughts there. Just concluding thoughts on this one. I mean, notes going up against the host nation. What did we do in this game that we really can't afford to repeat? And also, thoughts on Enes Nuyama. Has he impressed in his debut? He got a goal, obviously, but how good a debut was that?
I mean, we expected him to be in and amongst the goals. I mean, we saw the potential. The reason he's one of them, I think he's the only player in this squad who was in the last Black Star squad. There's a reason for that. He's showing his quality. Yeah. But speaking of things you shouldn't do, it's very simple. That loss of concentration that cost us the 2 goals, it shouldn't happen. And for me, it's a big concern because we are even speaking of here that during the World Cup, every single game, Ghana did this, conceding 2 or more goals in quick succession. We did it against Portugal. We lost that game. We did it against Korea. We were 2-0 up, got back to 2-2. We did it against Uruguay. That one we ultimately lost. Yeah. So it's something. It's really concerning. So I don't know what it is about our preparation and our concentration, but it seems to be a problem, and they need to work on it because in a tournament, those moments of concentration are the difference between going to the next round and winning the tournament and going home empty-handed. So if we really want to be at the Olympics next year, we can't afford those lapses in concentration. Maybe they've used up their quota for the tournament. So those are the 2 lapses of concentration. The rest of the tournament, they'll be perfect. But I'm not too certain about that because usually it's a pattern with teams. And that is not a good pattern to start. It shows that they are a bit complacent in moments. So I think they should their mental fortitude and their mental awareness to keep leads should be a bit stronger.